Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Real Estate View. We are very excited to be back into the whole thing, and we are happy to be here. I am Nikki, your co-host, joined by Kim and Lorraine. Hello, ladies.
Hello,
Hello,
hello.
Nikki. Hello, everyone.
Good
Hey,
afternoon.
Kim.
Hi, Lorraine.
I had to share. I was like, wait, I can't just say hi to Kim.
You can't be
They had
leaving me out.
Kim. Yeah, no, it was totally unintentional. I apologize. I apologize. So, what have we been doing? What are we talking about with the people today? I think we
Well,
got some good stuff on
first,
tap.
how's everyone's week been? What we're 2 weeks into the year. How's everything going? I
It's
know
been
we talked
cold.
about. I know,
It's cold.
I know. We
It's
talked
too
about goals
cold.
last week, and have you guys sorted out your goals yet? Have you written things down?
I have.
I personally, yes, I've been getting better at writing things down, but also just as we spoke about last week, just getting more clarity on where the direction that I want to go, not only personally but with the business as well. So that's been really helpful in terms of actually putting pen to paper. Clarity.
That was funny.
It was a little bit. And what about you, Mickey?
Well, we didn't, I don't remember if we talked last week about actually having it on a vision board or like a whiteboard so that it's constantly in your view, at least in the room where you're working, if it's for your business, to have like those quarter goals and just as a visual reminder so that it's there. So I am working on mine so that it's going to be there the whole year and then tweak it as we go. And so I use my board for all of our goals. Like, the family goals are also there, personal goals are also there, as well as the business, because I am just one person. Might as well be one thing to look at.
Right. Same here. I mean, I have it written down in my little book. I mean, everybody who knows me knows that I have several notebooks. I buy them in bulk. And I go through them like crazy because I write everything down as I'm speaking. Even when we're on the podcast, I usually I'm just always writing things down. If you see my head down, I'm writing. But yeah, so I have everything written down there. I haven't put it on a whiteboard yet. Getting to the whiteboard because we have this huge board in the office and I can look straight at it from my desk. But yeah, goals are written, they're clear, and we're rocking and rolling early in 2022.
You know what they say, Kim? They say that note takers are money makers. So the
Is
fact
that what
that
they
you
say?
already have a habit of like writing everything down,
See?
you're already on your way. That's great. I need to get into that habit, like naturally, just writing everything down. That's a good habit to have.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yes. So speaking of that, in terms of writing things down, how does that transition into our topic? I mean, maybe it doesn't, but either way, we're going to talk about some of
The
the
hottest thing,
changes
the
that's
hottest
been
thing that
going
everybody's
on.
been talking about for the
Yeah,
last week or so.
our
Yes.
market update. So, couple of things. First, MLS, then there's some changes going on with Propstream, and then the overarching interest rates going up and what that means for real estate going forward. So I don't know which one do we want to sort of kick off with. I
I
think
mean, I
it's
guess.
interesting to know what's going on with Propstream, or not going on with Propstream, I should say.
Well, I mean, with PropStream, as far as that goes, it's still a great platform. You're still going to be able to use it to find, data. It's just you're just not going to be able to get that MLS data because
So if we can explain a little bit to the audience, people that don't know what PropStream is, I know just a little bit, but you, Kim, have been using it longer
yeah,
than
yeah. I
us.
mean, we use PropStream quite often. Mostly just to to look up data on properties that we come across. Like let's say we're driving around and we find a property. We'll plug the information into PropStream and it gives us quite a bit of data. So, what's going on with them now is that they used to provide MLS data, but now they're not going to be able to do that. because I think the National Association of Realtors has made some changes in their regulations and their rules, but you'll still be able to get public record sales in Propstream, so it's still going to be usable.
It's
I
just
think
that you're not getting the same thing as MLS anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
You're not going to get the MLS records, but
the
you
ML,
still,
yeah.
yeah, you'll still have public record sales because most of these things have to be recorded, and once they're recorded, you'll get that data in Propstream.
So I
My
think the
question
biggest
actually,
maybe concern.
sorry, go ahead, Lauren.
No, I was just going to say, I'm wondering if the bigger concern, even though they'll still have public records data, is it the urgency of as soon as something is in MLS, it'll push it through to some of these third-party platforms like PropStream? Is that maybe where some of the anxiousness is coming from, that they're not now no longer going to have the MLS data? Is it just the urgency of the information?
It's possible, yeah, because when you're comping a property, you want the most up-to-date information in order to come up with a correct or more accurate, after repair value, whatever the property is going to be worth once you make changes and repairs to it. So yeah, I do think that plays a factor.
And sorry, I know you were saying something before, Mickey.
I was just going to say that, this makes us want to have a lot of realtors on our team.
Oh yeah,
You're an
realtors,
investor
realtors,
there.
yeah,
Like
realtors are
you
your best
can't,
friend.
you just can't go by without a realtor. At least now we know, because even if you're using PropStream and being very efficient with it, with this change, you don't actually have access to those MLS data anymore. And so you have to rely on your realtor.
Right, you have to rely on realtors. They're a great source, a great resource, not
They're
only
always,
for not only for getting comparables on properties, but they provide a great service. And this also, I don't want to use the word forces, but as an entrepreneur and even somebody, in the real estate market, the realm, you have to be able to pivot. And you should know how to get to Z multiple ways. It shouldn't just be one way. So I mean, there are other ways to get, you know, MLS data. You can get it on Redfin. You can get it on Zillow.
realtor.com.
Yeah, Realtor.com. It's going to require a little bit more legwork, but the information is there.
Yeah. But I think it's also important to emphasize the importance of realtors, not only like you said, Kim, for comps, but just getting an overall impression of the area in which you're looking to either purchase a home or
Mhm.
invest in property or things like that. There, so I think that this might even prompt people to maybe seek out licensing themselves, not only just networking with realtors, but maybe becoming a realtor yourself. And that can be an enhancement, especially if you're an investor, because not only looking at or evaluating properties from an investor standpoint, but actually understanding sort of the back end stuff as
Mhm.
a realtor. So it could be
Absolutely.
multifaceted.
Yes, and I know you, Kim, you went and got your real estate license, your realtor license,
Yeah.
because you were an investor first, right?
Yes. I mean, as an investor first, I decided to get my real estate license because I live in a state where they made some changes to the rules here. So if you want to do any type of wholesaling, um, which the National Association of Realtors kind of frowns upon. They put a rule out there that if you're in the state of Illinois and you want to do wholesaling, you have to have a real estate license. So that prompted a lot of people to go out and get their license. So I do have access to the MLS, and I am able to get that data. If anybody wants to reach out to me, they can. But yeah, it is going to prompt a lot of people to go out and get their real estate license.
And part of me feels, I wonder if maybe some of these companies are also trying to protect some of the MLS data, or just trying to protect the industry by not allowing some of these different platforms to have access to MLS data, and maybe centralizing it to only realtors. Or I think you can get, what is that? where you can be like an assistant to a realtor.
Mhm.
It's like
Mhm.
unlicensed or on something like that.
Yeah. I mean, I firmly believe that it's about protecting the citizens, the homeowners. That's I
Mhm.
think it's coming. I think it's coming from a good place, but people on the other end, the receiving end, don't look at it that way.
Right. Because we want convenience,
Yeah.
especially as an
Yes.
investor, we want to be able to just go one-stop shop. But now your realtor could potentially be a one-stop shop
Yeah.
for what you need.
And even though I have my real estate license, I still utilize other agents.
Yes.
I
Yes.
rely heavily on other
Yes.
agents because I am just solely, I'm in Illinois, in Chicago, and I don't know other markets very well. So I always
Mhm.
reach out to other agents. And even here in Illinois and Chicago, I reach out to other agents because I am new to Chicago, 4 years, but I don't know every single area out here.
Hmm.
So I do rely heavily on agents, for information. And yeah, I always use agents.
And coming from another metropolitan city, I'm in New York City more specifically. I recently got my license as well, but it was more so to enhance my ability to service clients or potential customers from the investor side. I can also help them from a retail side
Hmm.
with my license, but it just happened to be um, great timing that now I do also have access to the MLS and some of these resources. So yeah, I think it will protect the industry, like you said.
It
Agreed.
does. So we wanted to talk about the next subject, which is the rates.
Yeah,
How there is a projection of interest rate on a mortgage going higher by the end of the year, and
I mean,
how this
yeah.
is affecting us already.
I mean, you think about since we've been in a pandemic. I mean, what we're going into year three now
Is
of the
it three?
pandemic. Yeah,
It's three already.
yeah, and it's even though it kind of started in 2020 and we're in 2022, you think about the length of time. So going into year three of the pandemic and everything that's been going on during these past 2.5, 3 years, prices have been skyrocketing. If you're talking about real estate, the overbidding, that's essentially contributing to the inflation, which is what we're going through right now, which is prompting the increase, excuse me, in interest rates. So it's basically a culmination of a lot of things that have been happening over the past couple of years that we're now feeling the after effects of. And in order to combat that, so maybe we can go into this next 2, 3 years and beyond stronger. That's I mean, I'm not an economist or anything, but that's what I'm predicting of why the interest rates are going up.
Yeah, I mean, well, I noticed here in the Chicago market that things have been sitting on the market a little bit longer.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of price drops, and even a lot
Yes.
of I know I talked a lot about things being back on the market. I mean, there was one day I opened up Redfin because I get these alerts every morning, and it like row of properties, they all said back on the market, back on the market. So I'm not really sure what's happening, but I do see things softening up a little bit here in Chicago. Of course, things that are priced well and renovated really nicely are moving, but for the most part, a lot of things are still sitting. So I'm not sure if, you know, the I guess the threat of a looming interest rate hike has anything to do with that. If people are just starting to be a little bit more cautious. I don't know.
Appraisals. I know that that's been a big topic of, especially because houses are going over asking. It's like, well, will the property appraise for this value? And if it
Right.
doesn't, and then if the borrower can't come out of pocket for the difference, then yeah, the house goes back or the property goes back on the market, and you start from the beginning. And then coupling that with higher interest rates, if borrowers aren't able to qualify for loans because of the higher interest rate, or if your payments have now increased because of the higher interest rate, is going to, yeah, cause a lot of interesting things within the market. And then I don't even know if people are I would think that most people have fixed interest rates, but maybe for those who
I
have
hope so.
variables,
Yes.
that can cause some issues going forward too.
Yeah, that scenario that you just presented, we actually went through that in 2020. We were selling a property, and I think the interest rate, no, it was 2021. The interest rate went up just a little bit, and our buyer was disqualified at that point because
Mm,
they weren't able to qualify for the loan. So we had to start the process all over again.
yeah.
We also had that for one of our houses that the interest rate just went a tiny bit. And so these kind of tell us what type of buyers are
Hmm.
there
Right.
and how risky they are, because
Yeah,
I'm like, if the interest rate is just shifting a little bit and you're not able to make it, well, perhaps it's a good thing for
it's a
you not
good
to
thing
have
that
this
that
house.
actually,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And
because I mean, you're not ready for what's going to happen in a few years when you're
and
going
you
to
know,
renew your mortgage.
Hmm.
you ladies really bring up a great point, because when you're talking about even just the interest rate shifting a half of a percent or even
Yes.
1%, that really can change your payments. I mean, we're talking about mortgages that extend over 15 or 30 years. So that half of a percent or that full percent can really start to add up. And when I sort of apply that situation to notes and note investing and how that can potentially affect the market, when you're, even if you're able to qualify for it now, 5 7 8 years excuse me, down the line, when you can't continue to make those payments,
Mm.
then maybe that increases the inventory that goes back onto the market, because now we're going to have more non-performing non-performing notes as opposed to performing notes. From an investor standpoint, that could be appealing because yes, higher interest rates means higher profits. But from a consumer standpoint, again, like we've been saying, higher interest rates means more money than I'm paying out of pocket, and sometimes not be as sustainable. We saw that happen, what, like 2008,
Yeah.
2009, when
Hmm.
we saw the ripple effect of what happened there. I mean, that was a completely different
It was
situation.
a different scenario. Yeah.
So
I mean, and of course, all of these things, they affect different areas differently. Because in San Francisco, I think I was reading something where there was a house that sold 1 million over asking.
whoa,
I was like,
what?
but
Wow.
San Francisco is in a league of its own. I think. Like,
You might as well just go build another house if I'm going to pay 1 million over at.
yeah,
That's
I don't know
wow.
what they have in San Francisco, but you got to really want it.
Wow.
What was that commercial? Was that rice aroni for the San Francisco treat? They must. I don't know.
Lorraine,
Maybe.
you showing your age. Don't talk about rice aroni.
No, I heard a
Oh, you heard it.
commercial
I
or
heard. Okay,
something.
yeah, I heard
Yeah,
it
I heard
too.
it on the commercial. Right.
Wow, that's so crazy.
It
Yeah,
is. It is.
Well, yeah.
that's
So we
something.
are expecting to see less and less of those bidding wars of the house. We're seeing,
Anticipated, yeah.
I mean, we
yes,
don't we
we're
don't know,
anticipating
but
that.
yeah,
And
That
then
would be, I think, the end goal of why some of the interest rates are increasing, because yes, we want to ease some of this influx. I mean, the market is hot. We knew the real estate market was hot, but when we start talking about inflation, all of the other industries that kind of keep the financial system going, they are also being affected.
yeah, and
Um,
and
mhm.
I mean, don't mean to cut you off. And even though there's a lot of properties coming back on the market, there's still low inventory, which is
Right,
which is
yes,
kind of strange. You know what I mean?
right, right. And
it
then you
is
talk about like
strange.
materials and all of these things
Let's not
are,
talk
are
materials.
It's very strange because it's like we live in a weird reality right now. There's still low inventory, there's less people buying, but there's still low inventory. And then buyers are not, they're not competing against each other anymore. And prices are like, there's like a plateau right now, and some properties are decreasing their prices.
yeah.
So it's like moving sands. That's how it feels.
Well, I mean, I'm hoping that it's just the winter that slowed things down a bit,
Right.
because it did get like I'm serious. Like, we, in December, the end of December, it wasn't like crazy cold. And then as soon as January hit, like it's like somebody just turned on a switch and it just became like full on winter. And
Yep.
we've had like 2 or 3, snowfalls already, and everything is just like iced over. So I think, that's deterring some people.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
also,
So
they're like,
I,
we'll wait for spring. Let's
yeah.
wait for spring.
that and tax refund season. Everybody's like, well, I'll just hang out and maybe get a little extra credits on my tax, and then maybe I'll go house shopping, or maybe I'll go and want to update my house so then I can go and put it on the market to sell. So I think a lot of different mindsets happen now, but yeah, mostly, especially when you're on the East Coast, it's staying inside,
Mhm.
hibernating for
I
these next couple
For
of
me,
months.
the Midwest too. Like I
Oh,
just
the
I
Midwest.
dread going outside.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so, how is all of this affecting your strategy as now we go into, buying houses? How is that affecting your
Well,
decision?
it depends on what, because we have a couple of different ways in which we buy properties. But for the ones that we are purchasing off of the MLS, we just keep an eye on these properties, and when they come back on, we resubmit offers. Like if it's something that we put an offer in previously and we didn't get it, if it comes back on and we're able to excuse me, see that it's back on the market, we just resubmit.
Do you like I'm sure you reevaluate maybe the situation depending on how long it's been off the market and then when it comes back on, because as we've been saying, I mean, so much has happened, so much can happen in just a couple of months in
Hmm.
terms of property values or maybe even the condition
Oh no,
of
we
the property.
definitely rerun the comps to see what has changed, if any, and then we just resubmit. Because when we initially put the offer in, you know, we knew what the ARV would be at that particular point. But we definitely always rerun just to be on the safe side. And yeah, we resubmit them. And sometimes we've been successful and sometimes we're not successful.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I know, Mickey, you're focused more a little bit on the commercial side, but what do you think, just between the interest rates between comps and MLS, do you think that that will affect your strategy or your business model moving
Yeah.
forward?
From residential to commercial, what we've been able to see is that the commercial is not affected as much as the residential, which for us is a great thing because it means that our comps are solid, that we can actually rely on them. And then even on the lending for the banks to lend
Yes.
us, there it takes time before commercial loans actually increase their rates, and so it's just a different market. That's what I'm thinking, and maybe because it's tenants, right? And so whatever is happening on a housing, if someone loses their home, they will go back into an apartment. There's always a need to find apartments. And so maybe this is why on the commercial side things are more stable and lose less value than the residential one. But that's what we've been seeing. Of course, we are still very careful. We always still run the comps. We're still out there figuring out, seeing how is the rent market, how is that reacting. And so far, it's been pretty stable. It increased a little bit, but it's not like the residential side where we had
Mhm.
like the ups, 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 and crazy ups. And yes, so we didn't have that on a commercial side.
you,
Okay.
you really bring up a point that I don't think we touched upon it when we were speaking about the interest rates, and it's lending and funding
Yes.
for a lot of these deals, because as the interest rate goes up, it's going to cost more to borrow money. And so again, I think that this can go a couple of ways, but the two that come to mind for me are, okay, if I'm a hard money lender, yeah, I might start charging more for investors to be able to borrow money. But if I'm a private money lender, this might actually be more appealing, or it might create more business for me, because now people are not going to necessarily want to pay the high interest rates to a hard money. Maybe my 8, 9, 10% doesn't sound as terrible to the investor now because interest rates have gone up. So I think all of these things really create a lot of opportunity if we're prepared, right? Or if
Yes.
we're ready to take advantage of some of the things that are going to come down the pipeline. So it's going to be really interesting to see how it all unfolds.
Yeah, I mean, what I can say is, I'm loving the rates that are out there now, so I'm hoping that it doesn't go up too much.
Yeah. from a borrower standpoint,
Yeah.
right?
Yes,
Yeah.
Yes.
definitely. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's good for business.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Stay away, feds. All right,
So yeah,
lady.
I think we gave the people a lot to look forward to or to pay attention to
Yes.
moving forward, and things to talk about what's happening in the market.
Yeah, definitely. So
Absolutely.
I know we're on every Thursday, but we are going to be off air next week.
Yes.
But we will definitely.
Because yeah, well, I'll let you announce or kind of elaborate. No, you want me to do it? Okay. So I was just gonna say, I mean, some of what we've spoken about on previous episodes is always continuing to learn
Yeah.
and always wanting to network and that sort of thing. So if we happen to not be on 1 week or 2 weeks or whatever it is because we are still working, but working on ourselves and working on our business is so. It's
We
good.
are we are on a personal development journey
Yeah.
because
Yes.
we absolutely know that when we develop ourselves, our business will automatically just being affected by it on the positive side.
Yes.
Definitely. So until we are back on air, guys, know your why,
Know your heart.
And know your purpose. See you
and
next
we'll
time,
see you
everyone.
soon.
Bye.